I was extremely lucky to have a lot of good teachers up until now, and I was also very fortunate to have a lot of good students learning with me at the same time. But not all my teachers were that great, and I definitely could have been a better student at certain times. So let's analyze what's holding you back. Is it you or is it your teacher? There are two ideas that I want to make sure that we're on the same page about. Let's do the first one. Some people are really good at their craft, but not very good at teaching. Some people can execute the guitar very, very well. They can play all types of craziness. But when you ask them to explain what it is that they just did, they can't. And it's because they're geared towards playing, not explaining. And it's not fair to put these people on the same valedictory level that we're about to. And another one is I'm going to be assuming that you're doing exactly what the teacher is telling you to do. So now that we're on the same page about that, let's start analyzing. We're going to have to change the viewpoint on how teachers are paid. Teachers are not necessarily paid higher because they're good teachers, but teachers with higher retention rates are the ones who get paid the most. This is because the more students they have per week or per month, the higher they're going to be paid. Now, let's say this is a good teacher. If it's a good teacher, their reputation is going to start to become more well known. Their students are popular and they say, who made you this good? They'll say, this teacher. And then that teacher will have more students, which is a good thing. Those are the teachers we're talking about. We're talking about the teachers who are keeping a high retention rate by holding you back. And there are a few tactics they use to do this. One tactic is they flat out lie to you. That's right, they're lying to you. So some teachers will claim that they're good at jazz or rock, and they have no clarification on that. A lot of teachers will claim that they're good at these because they went to music school and they specialized in classical. And because I could play classical, therefore I can play anything. And when you do ask them to play anything from rock, it sounds strange. It doesn't sound like rock. It sounds like the song, but something sounds kind of funny about it. And they're hoping that you don't know the difference. So you might be with a classical teacher trying to learn jazz and you're never gonna get there. Why? Because you're with the classical teacher. I have a lot of students who are with jazz teachers thinking they're gonna be doing rock and they never get there. Why? Because the jazz teacher says, well, jazz, rock, same thing. Try to find a teacher that actually specializes in the thing that you want to do. If you are just going into the lesson blindly saying, hey, a teacher's a teacher, you can't be surprised that you end up learning things that you don't want to learn. Make sure your teacher is actually who you think they are. If they're a rock and roller and you want to learn rock and roll, that's great. If you want to do classical, you go to a classical person. But don't mix and match them because not all teachers are equal in the styles that they are in. Make sure they are who you think they are. The next tactic that they do is they don't tell you everything about what it is that you're learning. They'll just say, we're learning this song this week, or we're gonna play this scale, we're gonna play this lick, or we're gonna play this part of the book. But they aren't necessarily telling you why or what the point is. Some teachers will actually tell you what we're going over is your reading skills, or making sure that you can change chords faster, or whatever it is that they're going to be going over. But a lot of teachers do not tell you that. They act more like drill sergeants. You will do what I tell you to do because I'm better than you. That doesn't help you, right? What you want to start doing is being more curious about what it is that you're learning. What is the point of this song? What is the point of this particular section of the book? How does this interact with the things that I want to be doing in music? Now, if they're a good teacher, they will have no problem explaining this to you. However, a bad teacher will probably get aggravated because you are questioning them. A good teacher wants questions. They want tons of questions. They want your curiosity. They don't want your rebelliousness. You don't question your teacher because you think you're better than them or you're trying to catch them in something. Be interested in the thing that you are learning to figure out why you're learning it. Once you understand why you're learning it and the purpose of it, you're going to notice that you accelerate way faster. But if you notice that your teacher isn't necessarily helping you in your curiosity, well, now you know your teacher isn't as upfront as you think they are. One tactic that drives me absolutely crazy is obsessing over detail. If the detail is interrupting a fundamental idea, yes, we're going to have to obsess over that detail because it's interrupting something fundamental. But many teachers know if you didn't play it perfectly, that they can make you play it over and over and over again, and it stretches that lesson out. So now, instead of playing, let's say, 1 or 2 songs per lesson, you're gonna have to play 1 song over 3 or 4 lessons, and that stretches out how much they can teach you. They've retained more students. Now, I've been accused of being obsessed with details. One of my students actually made an image making fun of this particular idea. However, they did notice eventually that I did explain to them how the detail was actually interrupting the fundamental. So for example, if they were strumming incorrectly, and they think that they are, I would make them count it out loud, and they would notice they actually weren't strumming where they thought they were. Or what I would do is I would clap back at them what they were actually doing, or I would record them. And that's how you know if your teacher's messing with you or not. They will explain to you what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. Another thing you could do is ask them, how have other people solved this problem? And they should be anyway, lots of ways of solving the problem. But if you're noticing they're just obsessing over the detail for absolutely no explanation, you know something's up. This next tactic is used a lot in music and in martial arts, and I've witnessed this too many times. When a teacher says that there's more progress that's happening than what actually is, or there isn't as much progress as they say there actually is. There's something called a black belt factory, okay? And what happens here is the student will get a stripe on their belt, up to 4 stripes, and then they get a new belt. Not based off of capability, but based off of time. So they get a new stripe every 2 weeks, and then after 4 stripes, they get a new belt. So that's why you have so many black belt children running around, not because they actually have the capability, but because they've been there for long periods of time. This builds false confidence. The student thinks they can do something when they actually can't. And I think this is highly irresponsible. I've seen this also with music teachers. I've seen teachers, particularly vocal teachers, they will play the song with the student will sing horribly, and the teacher will say that they did a good job anyway. Apparently this is to build confidence, but if this confidence isn't built off anything that actually exists, this student isn't where they think they are. But both the martial arts instructor and the music instructor have now retained a student for longer, because now the student is feeling good more than actually making progress, and they've kept the student. This also goes the other way. I've seen teachers hold back belts because they want to see more out of the student. Or I've seen teachers purposefully pick on the student just so they can get more practice time out of them. That is not fair. If the student has made an accomplishment, you should give it to them. If they have passed the song, pass the song. So how do you know if this is happening to you? If you think you're progressing too quickly, or you think that you aren't as good as you think you are, do something outside of the lesson that is still on your skill level. So if you're a beginner, go find other beginner songs and see if you can play them. If you can't, and your teacher keeps telling you that you're good, you know something's up. Same thing with the other way. If you notice you can do beginner things extremely easily, but your teacher keeps telling you that you're no good, you now know something's up. Now that I've knocked around the teachers, let's knock around some students. We're going to assume that you have a fantastic teacher. So if it's not the teacher, how in the world could it be you? The most obvious one is that we're not practicing enough, or we're not practicing correctly. What I've noticed is that we seem to be approaching practice incorrectly. Practice isn't supposed to be fun, and practice isn't supposed to be painful. Practice is your responsibility. The more you practice, the better you get. If you notice that you're getting better without any practice, eventually you're going to hit a brick wall, and then you're going to have to practice. You should be approaching practice by the responsibility point of view, so that way you will always have it done when you need to have it done. Some songs are easier than others, but some songs are more difficult. But if you can practice when you need to, then it won't be that much of a big deal. So, are you actually practicing the way you're supposed to be practicing, or are you practicing the amount you're supposed to be practicing? Many of us are just with the wrong teacher. Now, I understand that there are limitations based off of location and price range. However, with the advent of video conferencing, you have teachers all over the world that can help you out. Find the teacher that wants you to become better. It's not about their own ego or trying to get money out of you. My own personal viewpoint on this is the more musicians, good musicians we have out there, the better quality music we're all going to have. So I'm going to stress that you become brave, right? And go find your teacher, whether it be in person, video conferencing, but be very, very, very careful, also on YouTube. This last factor affects me just as much as it affects anyone else. Wanting to remain comfortable and being entertained. It's very easy to get wrapped up in technology because it's providing us with video after video after video, and it's preventing us from becoming bored. And it's comfortable because we can watch it from our cell phones, and our cell phones can go anywhere we want to. I'm going to encourage you to please experience what it's like to struggle for something and then accomplish the goal. Once you know what that feels like, it's going to be better than any video you're going to watch because it's no longer based off of empathy. It's based off of the fact that you put the work in and it paid off. This instrument will do that, and many other things you want to do will also do that. Try not to get distracted by your cell phone or any other piece of technology. I understand that it's designed extremely well to keep your attention, but remind yourself that the accomplishment that you're trying to go for is better than anything you're going to be watching on that screen. All right, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or death threats, I'm expecting a couple of death threats after that video. You can leave them in the comment section below, and hopefully, I'll see you next time.